And good evening to the lockdown session number 6. On my right, I have Corpse A, and on my left, I have Alex. So we're going to start. I'm just going to measure up. We're going to start kneeling down again because I quite like that kneeling down posture. I'm just going to get the kind of camera angle right. So if you can prepare yourself in seed or child's pose. This evening, we're not going to use the bell, even though I might use it in a little bit. We'll see how we go on with the warm-up. Okay, so we're going to look at a little exploration tonight. We want to do some work for the back, and we want to also create some movement as well. So we want to also think about the yin-yang principle. What is yin? What is yang? Where is the yang? Where is the yin? And I guess our blanket is a perfect example of that. When it's pulled tight, the blanket is very, very yang. When it's loose, it's very, very yin. The space within the vessel. And as I'll sign on, just spend a little bit of time easing your buttocks down toward the feet. Then if we switch back the other way. And just to bring that motion now into my arms, and then come up to a nice 4-point kneeling position. So we're going to do a little exploration here now. We want to explore our cat curls. But I want you to start off by doing those. I want you to imagine that you're a cat and you've got a really long, swoopy tail. And you're swishing your tail around, showing off how fantastic your tail is. It's swoopy. You can do circles with it, and you can go circles backwards. You can go side to side, and we can go forward with it. So we're just waving that tail. Now we're just going to come back to stillness. Just feeling through the posture. So now we're going to push ourselves back onto the heel, keeping the hands out in front. And we're just going to brush the nose along the floor as we scoot forward. And we're going to come up into our version of a low cobra. We can keep the elbows slightly bent, so we can feel the pressure coming through the arms from the floor. Head to the ceiling goes forward. And now we're just going to push ourselves back into our child's pose. So when we scoot forwards this time, we're going to come forwards into that cobra, keeping it low, feeling out what's going on. So the pelvis is still connected with the floor. Then we want to lift up to a high cobra. Really nice motion. And then we're going to push back. And then we want to slide through. Now, if you want to, you can play with a timer on this one and make this motion last for 10 seconds. But tonight, I'm just going to slide it through. I want to control it through. I'm coming up, my little cobra. Then I push up into my bigger cobra. And then I'm going to just pick the feet up. They're coming up off the floor. They're curling up behind me. And my heels are coming towards my bum. And then I'm going to release that, and then I'm going to push back into it. Dropping onto the heels. And then we're going to make that into one fluid motion. We want to maybe go for 5 breaths. Link it to your breath. We want to count 5 cycles. Moving through, up, into your Royal Cobra. Pushing back. And it doesn't matter how you break this down. All that matters is you come through. slowly motion, gliding it through, controlling chest up and back, and then again, and then this one is your penultimate one. So the next one, really make it the best swoopy cobra royal slidey thing. That's its official. Push it forward, just feel the posture, and then we'll come back to the rest position. Warm, but don't forget to drink. Now we come up to our tabletop, and we're going to just now explore the cat, cow. Now, when we come into the cat, we're breathing out. When we come into the cow, we're breathing in. Just link that through, and we're just going to go for 10 of them. But you know what? If I do my 10 quicker than you do your 10, that's fine. And if you only manage to do 8, that's fine too. Although I'm leading this practice, this is your practice. You take the bits from it that you like. Keep that flow going in the spine. So much of our back problems are down to the fact that we don't have space in our spines, particularly when we're sat driving for a long period of time. Feel it through. Don't worry about stopping and thinking what's going on. What's happening in your cat? How does it swish through into your cow? Is your tailbone up? 2 more. Lovely, and then we'll come for our smelly cats. Just wrapping gently around that post. Look for your hip in the direction that you are twisting. Nice. We're going to just drop back into our child's pose. And then slide that back in. Our last go, we're going to walk our fingertips out and grab hold of our ankles or our feet and see whether we can just lower ourselves down a little bit further. Okay, then release and we'll draw ourselves back in. We're back to staff pose. Familiar place. We're going to do the plank. The key to the reverse plank is getting those feet down to the floor, the soles of your feet down to the floor, so it really pulls that extension through the body. Our hands by the sides, and we push that pelvis up, and we point the toes. And we're aiming to be as straight as we can, extending out, head drops back. We're going to hold it for a couple of breaths. You should feel it in your calves, your thighs, your hamstrings, your back. Really engage. And then just bend your knees a little bit and come to a reverse tabletop. We can have a little play here. We can lift the right leg up and straighten it out in front of us. If we now pick our left hand up, we can maybe reach up. Put a little play around. Lower it back down to the floor. And then we're going to do the same on the opposite side. Up, reach. Now these are the sort of exercises you can move on if you fancy it. You know, I'm going to do 10 of these or ever. And we're going to come through a nice little squat very briefly. And then from here, we're going to just bend the toes in, put some pressure in your hands, and we're just going to start walking the feet out behind us. And as we walk them out behind us, we're going to stretch the arms down. And then we're going to just slowly lower ourselves down to the floor. Keep reaching, keep stretching, keep growing. And then we're just going to do one last little exercise, because I wanted to finish on the front tonight. Or certainly this part of the exercises. So we're just going to lift those feet up off the floor, arms up off the floor. No need to have to play around with it. Take them out to the sides, both arms. Bring the right arm to the front. Switch it around so the left arm comes to the front, the right arm goes out. Both arms to the side. Bring the knees, the heels up to the bum. Let's see if you can reach around. Chest nice and bright. Really pushing through. Now release. Bring the hands down underneath your head. Rest your head on your hands. Or on the floor, wherever it's coolest. We're now going to look again at the staff form. Now, we've been looking at it using these blankets. And I like the blanket because it's so inoffensive, and you can carry it very easily with you. And they are surprisingly strong. You can do all sorts of things with this, as well as keep yourself warm. One of my favourite books of all time is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And the catchphrase in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is always know where your towel is. But I think a blanket's even more versatile than your towel. So we're going to do a little bit of staff work, because I want to keep it on the theme that we started with, and these horse stance movements. So this is a classic Joe staff. It's made out of red oak. It's got a good weight to it. This is probably older than Grace, this stick. It's got tape on it because it's just starting to splinter in the middle. I, however, am going to use a simple hazel walking pole. I think this was £5, and I even got somebody to etch a little yang symbol at the end of it with this pyromania device. They don't have to be regular. So when we work with staffs, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be a brush handle. It can be just a chunk of wood. I'm just going to get. And we're going to look at balance with our staff. And when we come up to standing, I'm just going to iron myself to make sure that my head's not getting chopped off by the camera. I always feel I'm a little bit too far away from the camera though, because I look so small in the little screen. So balance. When we hold the staff, we need to be able to feel comfortable with it. So it's quite nice to get used to starting holding it in your palms and just move it around. There's no kind of rhyme or reason to what you're doing. And then if you just kind of flip it over onto the backs of your hands, you can then just play around with the same movements with it. Because we don't need to grip in a stick to manipulate it. And this is what kind of a contact staff is all about. That you start to be able to move. And I've picked this one on purpose because it is very irregular weighted. So we can kind of get used to the balance here now. Maybe holding it out on one hand in front of us. Doesn't matter whereabouts on your arm. Bringing it back in. And then we can switch it over to the other side. Now with your own stick, you can always mark it. You can always put a mark on it so that you know where the balance point is. And when you come across sort of fire performers and such, like quite often the staves are marked. And just have a little explore with balancing your stick on different parts of the body. And this is a really important practice because you start to move all the small muscles in your body to try and keep things balanced. And this is one of the few things that you can't work on with the blanket. The blanket, it's very easy to drape a blanket over your arm and look like a civil service waiter. So just moving around So that's on my elbow joint at the moment. I can feel it wobble. Don't worry about it if it goes. Because this is how you then start to practice your staff manipulation. So when we move, this can be your staff practice. I don't have to be spinning it around to do it. These are really important movements. Place it on your shoulder. This is really tricky. And then just start moving it. Seeing whether you can move one side to the other. And you will drop it. You will drop it. And learning to juggle is more about learning how to drop the ball. I'm not saying this juggling, but juggling is balance. Oh, that balance. Switch it to the other side. Find your balance. And don't beat yourself up about it. And it doesn't have to be a staff. You could just as easily practice this with a tin of beans, a water bottle. Oh. But once we start to understand our relationship as a point of balance, it starts to become a lot easier. Just moving and enjoying this idea. And you know what? If you can do these tricks with a humble wooden staff, imagine what you can do with a high-tech, sophisticated staff. One that will stick to you. And they are great for them. Just finding that point of balance. And it's a game that you're playing with yourself and the stick. And I do think, personally, that the staff is, out of all the martial arts weapons, ooh, that's close, my favourite. It's